Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality best chair, and, well, it's time for a quick Sunday video, as we call them. Couple of reasons for this. This is kind of a review of 45, but, well, there's a reason why I can't really do a full-on review. The first problem I was running into, which is where I was thinking that I might just ignore this movie entirely, is the fact that the last review took a little longer. I lost my schedule a bit, and if I want to do one a week, then I've already lost that week, so I might not be able to do this. But the second big reason, I didn't know what I was getting into with this movie, and, well, there is a list YouTube gives. It's an ever-growing list as the site gets more and more restrictive on things that you are allowed to speak about. Number one, if you want to make money. Number two, if you want to have the video seen at all. And the way my reviews tend to go, where I go into the movie scene by scene and describe what happens, there's no way I can do this without having a lot of violations on things that no one should see that, no one should talk about that, no one should call anybody that by any of those words, especially not back to back to back to back to back. You really shouldn't reference that. This isn't right. All kinds of things. But I still really wanted to talk about 45 because this is an interesting one here. In terms of movies I've reviewed that it kind of reminds me of that process in a way, I'd have to say I Spit on Your Grave. Not in that it had a huge warning that I ignored because who believes in warnings and the warning was actually real. There was no warning with this one. It goes places. Uncomfortable places. And it goes there with alacrity. And Milla Jovovich does a real good job with it, and that makes it very difficult to watch sometimes. Basic thing is the whole thing is built around the idea of it's a very female-centric movie with struggles women have and a world that's not necessarily built with them in mind and things that can be done and how this works, and it's towards the end, it kind of weirdly mixes into this kind of mystery that no one really cares about because that's not really important. Like, oh, who done it? Who cares? It was done. That's the big part. But it does sort of work its way out. On a second watch, there are certain hints that go into the who done it that do kind of work out. But the big thing is that I have to this reminds me of a thing. Charlie watched a bit of The Black Phone the other day. I didn't sit there and watch it with her, but I did catch a few parts. And there's this scene relatively early on where the father is beating the children. And if you know me, you know I have experience being on the receiving end of this very situation. And yeah, in The Black Phone, the child actors, bless them, They were very clearly acting. They're decent actors, you know, they're not doing terrible jobs, but they're very clearly acting. And it's also made worse by the fact that the beating scene, in my opinion, seeing as I've had experience in that, it didn't come off like something that would really happen. It came off like dialogue. They're saying this to them, that to them. It's a back and forth of concepts and ideas as this is going on, and it's like that's not that isn't how it happens. 45 has a beating scene, and it goes how it happens. And boy, oh boy, can Milla scream nonstop really well. And that was where I had to step away from the movie and get some air for a while. That felt a hell of a lot more real in there. And that's like, it's the part where it's very difficult to watch, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It means it's some really heavy material right there. And it's not as long or as harsh as I Spit on Your Grave. But like I said, it's kind of getting into that same area of I'm sitting here making snarky jokes about what's going on here, and this is something that is just really, even in movie form, very, very hard to get through. But overall in 45, it works together with the rest of the world. It's just kind of put together in this very raw, very dirty kind of depiction of the situation, and all the characters are various levels of that. And I feel like the ending likes to wrap things up a little too pretty, but it's, it works for what it is. It is a bit different than you might expect, but it's like, and that's great now. Everything is all hunky-dory. And it's, yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, really. Well, I guess, the problem's twofold. Number one, I don't want to spoil too much about the movie. I'm doing it kind of like a reaction review here, where it's like, I'll say what I think about the movie in terms of itself, and then maybe I can like break into the spoilers in the second half of the video. But there's the other problem. The other problem, where, like I said as I opened this video, there is a lot here that YouTube does not like. It doesn't want you showing it. It doesn't want you mentioning it. It doesn't want you describing it. It does not want you acknowledging it exists in any way, shape, or form, which makes reviewing it difficult. Very difficult. And as I said, I can't really show the majority of what goes on. Like, just this, even in silence, the scenes by themselves, like, you could potentially get a couple of shots of people talking to each other, like, off on the side if I don't mention what they're saying, because if I do say what they're saying, then they throw enough slurs together in a row to get the yellow dollar sign. Oh, but yeah. 45. If you are interested in a movie about a female empowerment that goes absolutely just very uncomfortable places, then I would suggest it. If you'd like to have a little more fun and maybe experience a movie that you don't have to turn off and go outside and get some air and then come back to and finish later because you're a professional and your mama didn't raise no quitter. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to be going back to the fun Resident Evil franchise, because remember, there is that one Resident Evil movie left here, the final chapter. Still gotta review that. So let's see if I can get that done still within the summer. Remember, the summer is from the summer solstice to the autumnal equinox. Not Memorial Day to Labor Day. That's just what people think, but people are wrong. It's from the summer solstice to the autumnal equinox. That is where summer sits in the year. But nevertheless, I guess that's about all I have for this video. I gotta get ready to get Live and Wired going today, so thank you all for watching. I've been Shadow. And remember, Live and Wired is every other week Saturday at 6 p.m. Central, so when I say I'm getting ready for Live and Wired, I'm speaking from the past. As I'm recording this, it's Saturday at 4:44 p.m. Sorry if you missed it, which you probably did. Live and Wired is not very popular.